Hello everybody, my name is Simply Velka, and before I even get into this video, I want to thank you so much for checking out my channel. Hopefully you decide to stay, and yeah, let's just get right into it for this weekly Taroscope. I haven't been able to do them in a hot biscuit, so I'm really excited to get back into the swing of things and do this for us, because it's always, I feel like the weekly Taroscope was just such a time for all of us to just come together and just really start reflecting on things that are happening, and really, that there are even a couple cases where we're I say we, but there's three of us that are helping each other work through things in the comments during one of the Taroscopes during the middle of the week, because it was just a lot. But yeah, let's just get started for this one, because we're not doing a reading in the past, we're doing a reading for this coming week. And so the first thing that's coming out, that's coming right out at me, that I want to talk about first, is the malachite crystal. This is the stone that, as some of you guys may know, is the stone that I always like to pull a stone and a quote for the weekly Taroscopes, just for what crystal will match the energy of this week. That'll help us carry on and get us through this week, basically, and what crystal will really help with the dynamic of the energies that are going on. And so malachite is the one. And malachite, as some of y'all may also know, is one of my favorite stones besides lapis and citrine. So I'd probably say it's my top three. And malachite is so wonderful for a lot of different things, actually. Malachite's good for kind of that self-assurance, which is it makes sense for everything else, all the other cards in this reading, which I'll get into shortly. But yeah, malachite's really good for that self-assurance that really helps with the creativity as well. Really, malachite's helps you not get into your head, but also owns your empower, it helps empower you, helps you own your power, I guess, if that makes sense, you guys. And so that's really a good stone to work with. And I know malachite's a little bit more expensive, on the more pricier side, but you can still get a good piece for $5 or $10 or so. You won't be able to get a big old hunk of a piece, but whatever. And so yeah, let's just get into the nitty-gritty of this reading overall. And so what I want to talk about first is the Eight of Air. And the Eight of Air says, an illusion of being trapped, a lack of self-confidence, and afraid to take action. And by the way, do y'all love this little incense thing that I have going on? I got it for my birthday from my coven sisters, Kelta and Alana, and I just haven't found the right time to really use it. And I don't know, I feel it just now with this background and stuff, it fits perfectly for it. But anyways, back to the reading. So we have Eight of Air. So the Eight of Air is my favorite card, because it's when this card comes up, it's really meant for my overthinkers. And I'll say overthinkers and include myself in this message as well. It's when we have people in our lives, and we expect them to act in a certain way. You get used to them acting in a certain way. We get used to them acting and speaking in certain ways, And so if things go off, if things are not being cohesive, it's not not to your usual routine, you start overthinking things, right? If someone is just they normally text you good morning every single morning, and instead they just don't say anything. Or if you're hanging out with somebody and they're just awfully quiet, in your own brain, you can just start be overthinking. It's oh God, am I too boring? Am I not fun to be around? Did I do something wrong? It gets to be that really taking it all on and just creating this whole reality, where it's just and this other person who's just being quiet, they're just thinking about cows, they're just thinking about something stupid, or they're just not thinking at all, maybe they're just having their own off day, but it has nothing to do with you. That's really what I'm getting for overall in this reading, is just this reminder, just letting you know, it's not personal. Stop taking things personal. The card that I just drew from here that you guys watched me draw was the Wall card, the misunderstanding. So yeah, I feel a lot of you guys, and I'm going to include myself in this as well, is there's misunderstandings happening. The narrative, because we have this misunderstanding pairing with the Eight of Air, this is telling me that the narrative that we're playing out in our heads for certain people in our lives is not the actual case. To just let it go, understand that it's just it's in your head. If you really care about addressing the situation, you can speak up on it, talk about it. Communication is always such a wonderful, essential part of any relationship, whether it's friendship or romantic or otherwise. But really, like, I feel like I'm not getting like a negative feeling at all in this spread at all. It's really just kind of like asking you to get out of your head, and that's why the Malachite, it makes so much sense for the Malachite stone to come in during this time. And so yeah, you know, when this illusion of being trapped, just to like finish up on Eight of Air, this is kind of like a also you know, it kind of will go into this spiral. We'll go into these spirals, and I always will refer to it as like manic energy, right? Where it's just like we start convincing ourselves of this reality that's not actually reality. So even if it has nothing to do with a person, even if it's just like a situation that you're in, and you're just feeling hopeless, you're just telling yourself of this narrative. It's just like, oh, I'm never going to be able to get out of here. I'm never going to be able to save enough money to like move out. Da da da. You know, whatever your situation is, stop painting it as a reality. It's not reality. You're allowing this narrative that's made up in your head to have more influence, to have more power over in your mental space than it really should. You know, you take a step back and think about it. It's just like, if you have the choice of if you have two narratives that you can feed energy into, neither one has been proven to be more true than the other one. And you have one that's a negative, it's just being like, oh, things that can't work out. And then you have the other narrative, which is more just a positive outlook. You're just like, you know what, things are gonna work out. I don't know how, but I also don't expect myself to know how to have everything working out, I don't expect myself to know how everything's going to work out, right? Put energy into this one instead. You know, everything's energy. You know, I always say that, like, we always manifest, thoughts are energy, and we're always just like putting stuff out there for what we want from the universe. So if we're constantly feeding into this negative narrative, the universe is not going to question you and be like, are you sure? The universe is just going to look at this and be like, okay, this is the storyline that you want. I mean, I guess, baby. But like, you know, just shift your thinking a little bit. Take this reading as the message from Spirit to let you know, it's just like, hey, things are not as bad as you're making it out to be. And so, carrying it over, we have the Star card, Archangel Jophiel. Yeah, I don't care. I don't know how to say their name out loud. But this card, it says, happy times, make positive, optimistic, long-term plans, and you're on the right path. So this card is I feel like this is such a encompassing of like the message that's the Spirit's trying to get out to you. It's just like, hey, get out of your head. This is just a misunderstanding. Stop allowing these walls that you're creating yourself to trap you, and then telling yourself that you're trapped when you're not actually trapped, because this whole entire time you've had the key in your hand. You're on the right path for things. So during this time, this moment when you're overthinking things, this is just like it's one of those self-sabotaging moments. And sometimes these self-sabotaging moments can happen if you feel like you're not on the right path, if you feel like you're not making any progression. Maybe you feel like you're on the right path, but you're just not making progression. That's where we can start sometimes be our own worst enemy, where we start self-reflecting a little bit too much, and we start thinking that it's just like, we need to do something, we need to make a change, because if we're not having anything happening, then that means nothing's happening. That means no forward growth is happening. The Star card is confirming to you, just like, you are on the right path, you guys. Stop overthinking things. Allow things to play out. Even if nothing's happening, allow nothing to happen for now, because there's a reason for that. Don't make things happen, because once you start trying to tell the universe how to do things, then it's just, it can go sour real quick. You know, you might end up signing up more than for what you're bargaining for. And we have also, I want to bring up the Knight of Swords card from a different tarot deck. The Knight of Swords is such a representation of, again, like getting out of your head. Just because it's your reality does not mean your personal reality is everybody else's reality as well. And so I'm going to use the example of, just because like I just was talking to her before I sat down to make this video, I was talking to Alana. You know, if I think Alana hates me, that doesn't necessarily mean that's the case. That doesn't mean that she actually hates me. So it's just like, you know, you guys see what I'm saying? Like this entire spread is just asking you to get out of your head. Don't treat what's going on in your head. Don't treat this narrative that you're creating in your head as factual. The best way to fact proof yourself is it's going to be an uncomfortable conversation, but maybe you need to have this uncomfortable conversation so that way you can get back on the right track. But it's just like, you can fact check yourself. You know, if I thought Alana didn't like me, then I could just get up right now and go ask her, like, do you not like me? You know, it's an uncomfortable conversation, but then I feel like, I mean, the answer will very much so shatter this reality that I was creating in my mind. And that's something that's just needed to, that's something that would need to happen if that's what if I had to get to that point to stop myself from creating this narrative, that's what I would do. That's what I feel like the cards are suggesting for you guys to do, is just like, get out of your head, choose to be uncomfortable, and choose to be willing to be wrong. And don't be afraid of the answer, because even if the answer is, like, if I did go up to Alana, which it just wouldn't happen, but like, if I did go up to Alana, I was like, do you hate me? And she was like, yeah, just be like, okay, like, it's not the answer that I wanted, but I would rather know, so then I can like have that confirmed, and then from that point on, like, everything else will, like, I can start doing, like, movement can start happening, things can be confirmed, and then be like, okay, like, this is where I need to go from here, sort of thing, right? So don't stray away from this confrontation. Confrontation can be confrontation doesn't have to be negative. It can be this beautiful thing that can really start a conversation. And the start of a conversation is just, like, it can go so many different ways. And as long as you're willing to put your ego down and just take things as they are, and not take things personal, then really, like, as the cards are saying, like, you're on the right path. Continue going forward, with the Knight of Swords. Like, it's so funny how all these, like, different decks, and they're all talking about the same thing, basically, right? And so I'm going to touch on the World, but I'm also going to include it with the Ace of Fire card, because they kind of go hand in hand to finish up with this weekly Taroscope. The World card, it says, a job well done, joy, contentment, and gratitude, the path towards enlightenment. So again, there's another card talking about the path towards enlightenment. You're on the right path. You're on the right path towards enlightenment. So this is two cards right here that are feeding off of each other. That's letting you know, giving you, Spirit's trying the best that they can with these cards to let you know that you are on the right path. So stop trying to self-sabotage. Stop letting your inner saboteur in your mind, stop letting your anxiety in your mind sabotage. Stop letting your depression sabotage the good things going on in your life right now. Don't allow these mental things to take over. The best way to address anxiety, the best way to address depression is just taking it on head first. It's going to be uncomfortable, but it's going to be worth it. It will definitely be worth it when you are able to bring light to your path that you're already on, and to be able to continue walking forward. If that's what it takes, if confrontation is what it takes for you to continue going forward, have that confrontation. I promise you it's not going to go as bad as you think it's going to go. Stop, like, instead of trusting your inner monologue with yourself right now, instead of trusting this narrative that you're creating, trust me. Trust these cards, you guys. I promise you. And then for our last card for this week, we have the Ace of Fire. This quite literally says, an exciting new opportunity, a career advancement, change your life now. So, if you're feeling like there's not a lot going on for you guys right now, for those that are feeling nothing's happening though for progress, there's a reason for this. There's building up to have this moment of Ace of Fire where this new exciting opportunity is coming, this career advancement is coming, and this card right here is letting you know, it's just like, hey, it's kind of like when you're on the highway and it's just like, oh, the next exit is your stop for career advancement. The next exit on the right in 2 miles is for this exciting new opportunity. You're getting a heads up from Siri, when you have like your Google Maps on or your GPS on, they're telling you. This is like Siri telling you, be like, hey, prepare for this, So how can you prepare for yourself? How can you prepare yourself for the new exciting endeavor? Fix your mindset. How do you fix your mindset? Have this confrontation to get out of your head. Get rid of these misunderstandings. Break down these walls that you're creating with yourself. Because once this exit happens, once you're driving by this exit, one chance only, you can only take off in that direction one time, and then if you miss that exit, you're gonna have to go down further on the path until it comes back up again, however long it takes. So really, it's kind of up to you. Are you willing to prepare yourself now, drop the ego a little bit, have those uncomfortable conversations, have those uncomfortable confrontations, so you can get to your exit, so you can continue on with your right path, so you can continue on to your enlightenment. Get out of your head. Work with malachite, y'all. Definitely work with malachite. I have several malachite pieces, and I can personally attest to it. It's gonna be, I know at the beginning of this reading I said that it can be a little bit pricier to have like a bigger malachite itself is a little bit pricier, but it's honestly worth the investment, you guys, especially for those of you that are really resonating with this reading. I do highly suggest to have malachite, even for more than just this week, because I understand the best probably out of anybody. I used to have such bad anxiety, and I'm still such an overthinker, but malachite, working with malachite, I can personally attest to the favorable benefits that malachite has added to my life and how it's been able to help. So yeah, overall, such a positive switch of readings now that we're back into Terrascopes, and it makes me really happy that this is like the first introduction back into it. So yeah, I really don't get anything negative, you guys, so don't be afraid of this confrontation. Don't be afraid to have the conversation, because it's not going to be as bad as you think it's going to be. I really get such positive, uplifting things. We have so many cards that are just talking about, reaffirming to us that we're on the right path. So trust in that, trust in that, and just prepare yourself for this career advancement. Prepare yourself for these exciting new things, We have no excuse not to, once the exit comes, we have no excuse to not take that exit. If we don't take this exit, it's from our own volition. We're kind of asking for it. We're making that choice not to take that exit at that point, so we can't even complain. And so yeah, let's get into our mantra for this week as well. I'm gonna say it. In every moment, the universe is conspiring to bring me toward right-minded thinking and the energy of love. And okay, y'all already know how I always like to, this quote here, I always like to break it down a little bit because it can sound a little bit cheesy. And so I'm going to say it again. In every moment, the universe is conspiring to bring me toward right-minded thinking and the energy of love. And so what I am taking from this card itself is, behind all the super fuzzy, lovey-dovey, whatever words that it's behind, it's still such a beautiful message, and so fitting for these cards, because it's telling you every moment the universe is conspiring towards bringing you to what you're asking for. How it literally unintentional, but how I was saying, you guys, about how the universe is just listening to what we're putting out there. So we have this fork in the road, and we have this storyline that we can play out that's a negative storyline that's going to self-sabotage us, and that's going to take us away from our exit in 2 miles. Or we have this other storyline that plays out where we do take this exit in 2 miles, and once we take this exit in 2 miles, everything starts flourishing. We start having this enlightenment. We start having deeper connections with our friends and family and our loved ones. This card right here is kind of reaffirming what I was saying. So you have this choice. So it's what storyline do you want to choose out? Because the universe is always conspiring to help you, bring you towards whatever it is that you're asking. And so the thinking and the energy of love, this is just kind of also reminders, don't take life too seriously. I feel like not taking life too seriously plays a part in getting out of your head. The world is not out to get you. The universe is not out to get you. And sometimes we need that reminder in ourselves, just to let us know that we're not as bad as people as we think we are. Not everyone just hates us. Get out of your head on that. There's a lot of people out there that want to bring love to us and that love you, and so be able to trust in yourself, be able to trust in that you are a good enough person, and know that people aren't going to just mistreat you just because. And so maybe that'll help some of you guys with taking care of some of your anxiety and this negative narrative that you have going on. But yeah, that's really all I have for this week. I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for providing me this opportunity to be able to do this reading, because it's been such a nice reading to even reflect on for myself, and I really can't wait to see how this all plays out for the rest of this week. So yeah, definitely let me know in the comments below which card called out to you, which one resonated with you the most, what part of this message connected to you deeply that you feel like this reading was meant for you. I'd love to know in the comments below. If this did resonate with you, please be sure to hit the like button and the subscribe button, because I plan on doing more of these each week. I always like to switch things up a little bit, but the weekly Terrascopes you can expect to have weekly. But until I see you guys next time, I want to thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. I love you so much. Bye.